The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the rugged hills of Moriah. Abraham stood at the edge of the camp, his weathered hands gripping his staff tightly. His heart was heavy, his mind a storm of confusion and devotion. The voice of the Lord had come to him in the night, clear and unmistakable. "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah. Offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." The words had struck him like a thunderclap. Isaac, his son, his miracle, the child of promise born to him and Sarah in their old age. How could God ask this of him? How could the same God who had promised to make Isaac the father of nations now demand his life as a sacrifice? Yet Abraham's faith, tested and refined over decades, did not waver. He trusted the Lord even when the path ahead was shrouded in darkness. At dawn, Abraham had risen and prepared for the journey. He saddled his donkey, split wood for the offering, and called to Isaac. The boy, now a young man, had come eagerly, his eyes bright with curiosity. "Father, where are we going?" he had asked. Abraham had hesitated, his throat tight. "We are going to worship the Lord, my son," he replied, his voice steady despite the ache in his chest. Now, as they climbed the rocky slopes of Moriah, Isaac walked beside him, carrying the wood for the offering on his shoulders. Abraham carried the fire and the knife. The silence between them was heavy, broken only by the sound of their footsteps and the distant cry of a bird. "Father," Isaac said at last, his voice breaking the stillness, "we have the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham's heart clenched. He looked at his son, his beloved son, and saw the innocence in his eyes, the trust that had always been there. How could he explain what he himself did not understand? "God himself will provide the lamb for the offering, my son," he said, his voice trembling only slightly. Isaac nodded, accepting his father's words without question. He had always trusted Abraham, just as Abraham trusted God. Together they continued their ascent. When they reached the place God had designated, Abraham built an altar of stones and arranged the wood upon it. Then he turned to Isaac, his hands shaking as he bound his son's wrists with rope. Isaac's eyes widened in confusion, but he did not resist. "Father," he whispered, his voice trembling now. Abraham could not speak. Tears streamed down his face as he laid Isaac on the altar, the boy's body trembling beneath his hands. He raised the knife, his heart breaking with every beat. In that moment, the world seemed to hold its breath. "Abraham, Abraham!" The voice of the Lord rang out, sharp and urgent. "Do not lay your hand on the boy or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." Abraham's arm froze midair. He dropped the knife and fell to his knees, sobbing with relief. Nearby, a ram caught in a thicket by its horns thrashed and bellowed. Abraham untied Isaac and embraced him tightly, his tears mingling with his son's. "Father," Isaac said, his voice muffled against Abraham's shoulder, "I was afraid, but I trusted you. I knew you would not harm me unless it was God's will." Abraham held him closer, his heart overflowing with gratitude and awe. "The Lord has provided, my son," he said, "just as he always does." Together they offered the ram as a burnt offering in place of Isaac. As the smoke rose to the heavens, Abraham felt a profound sense of peace. He had been tested, and his faith had not faltered. Isaac, too, had shown unwavering trust, not only in his father, but in the God who had spared his life. As they descended the mountain, the sun broke through the clouds, bathing the land in golden light. Abraham placed a hand on Isaac's shoulder, his heart swelling with love and hope. The promise of God would endure, and through Isaac, a great nation would rise, a people chosen to carry the light of faith to the world. And in that moment, Abraham understood. True faith is not blind obedience, but a journey of trust, even when the path is shrouded in mystery. For God is not a God of death, but of life, and his promises, though sometimes tested, are always fulfilled.